Alright, listen up Valorant players. If you're trying to lock down sites, stop those sneaky flanks, or just be the backbone of your team, then you need a solid Sentinel in your lineup. Sentinels might not be as flashy as duelists, but trust me, without one, your team is basically asking to get run over. These agents specialize in controlling space, setting up traps, and making life miserable for aggressive enemies. But let's be real, not all Sentinels are created equal. Some are absolute must-picks, while others, well, let's just say they struggle to keep up. That's where this tier list comes in. We're ranking all 6 Sentinels in Valorant from S to C, breaking down their strengths, weaknesses, and overall impact on the current map pool. Whether you're looking to climb the ranks or just want to know who's dominating the meta, we've got you covered. So, which Sentinels are top tier and which ones might need a little extra help? Let's dive in. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking Sentinels in Valorant. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching!
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The Sentinels in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Chamber. Alright, let's talk about Chamber. Yeah, that guy. Once the king of Sentinels, dominating lobbies and making attackers cry, Chamber has now fallen from grace. After Riot hit him with some brutal nerfs, he went from being an overpowered menace to, well, kinda mid. If you're thinking about locking him in, just know that he's not your traditional Sentinel. No tripwires, no nanoswarms, no slow fields, just a guy with a fancy gun and a questionable teleport. Now, don't get me wrong, Chamber can still hold a site, but he does it in his own way, by clicking heads. If you've got sharp aim, he can be terrifying. His Headhunter and Tour de Force are still deadly, and if you play smart with his Rendezvous, you can take aggressive angles and get out safely. The problem? That teleport used to be his get out of jail free card, but now, with the reduced range, it's way easier to predict where he's going. If you're not careful, you'll find yourself caught with nowhere to run. The biggest issue with Chamber is that he doesn't offer the same utility as other Sentinels. Killjoy has her turret and lockdown, Cypher has tripwires and cameras, Sage has slows and the res. Chamber, he has a slow field if he lands a kill, that's it. No delaying pushes, no gathering intel, just raw aim duels. If you're not consistently winning your fights, you're basically playing a duelist who forgot to bring any utility. So, is Chamber worth picking? If you're cracked with the operator or just love aggressive plays, sure, you can still make him work. But if you're looking for a reliable Sentinel that actually helps the team, there are way better options out there. At this point, Chamber feels like that one guy who peaked in high school. He had his moment, but now he's just struggling to keep up. The Sentinels in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Sage. Alright, let's talk about Sage. Now don't get me wrong, she's been a staple in Valorant ever since the game dropped. But, if we're being real, Sage still finds herself stuck in B tier. She's like that dependable friend who always shows up to the party, but when the vibe shifts, you start to wonder if she's still pulling her weight. The higher you climb in ranks, the less she feels like a game changer. She doesn't really have those anti-flank tools that can turn the tide in tight situations, which kinda makes her struggle as a solo Sentinel. And don't even get me started on her wall. Sure, it's great for holding off enemies in those early rounds, but it's pretty much paper against a solid push, and it can be torn down in seconds. But let's not forget, Sage does have her moments. Her ultimate is like that last-minute clutch in a high-stakes game. When your team's down and it's looking grim, she can be a total lifesaver. And while her healing might not save you from a one-tap, it can definitely make a difference when you've got a teammate in need. So yeah, while Sage might not be the go-to pick for the ultra-competitive games, she still has her place in the right hands. Just don't expect her to win you every match, especially once you're facing off against those top-tier teams. The Sentinels in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Cypher, Deadlock, and Killjoy. Alright, let's talk about the best Sentinels in Valorant, and trust me, it's about to get interesting. These agents are the ones you want when you need someone to hold the line and keep your team safe, whether you're locking down sites or just keeping an eye on those sneaky flanks. So let's dive into some A-tier Sentinels who are really making waves right now. First up, we've got Cypher, the Moroccan master of information. Cypher's still in a solid spot, holding his ground as one of the top Sentinels in the game. His ability to gather intel with those trusty cameras and tripwires makes him a nightmare for enemies who like to lurk around. And let's be real, those tripwires, they're basically free kills if you know how to use them right. He's also got global reach with his abilities, meaning you can set up pressure anywhere on the map without being confined to one spot. Cypher's the best lurker, hands down, especially with his tools to keep enemies distracted while you make moves elsewhere. But don't get too comfy, because Cypher can be tricky in higher elos. To really thrive, you need to stay unpredictable. His tripwires are mostly indestructible, but some abilities, like Sova's shock darts or Razor's paint shells, can still mess with them. Even then, forcing enemies to waste utility on your traps is a win in itself. The more they burn their stuff, the less they can use to push or clear out areas. And that's where Cypher really shines. Now, let's talk about Deadlock. This agent got a little buff in patch 10.04, and let me tell you, it's made a big difference. Her signature ability, GravNet, is still a little underwhelming on its own, but when you pair it up with some damage dealing abilities like Razor's paint shells or Tejo's missiles, it's game changing. Players find it tough to escape, and even if they do, Deadlock still gets valuable info. The real kicker? She can now toss GravNet multiple times per round, making her an even bigger threat on defense. And on attack, she can secure some key picks with it. That added flexibility is huge. However, Deadlock still has a bit of a weakness. She's not as great at watching flanks as Cypher or Killjoy, so playing her as a solo Sentinel can be tricky. But when you have the right teammates to cover you, Deadlock's GravNets become a game changer, locking down key areas and making sure your opponents are stuck in place. Next, we've got Killjoy, and let me tell you, she's still one of the most reliable agents in the game. Whether you're defending or attacking, Killjoy's kit is so impactful. Her turrets and nades make it tough for enemies to get through, while her lockdown ultimate is perfect for retaking sites or slowing down pushes. She's simple to pick up, but man, does she make a difference. And with maps like Ascent and Icebox back in rotation, Killjoy's pick rate is about to go up. No doubt about it. Killjoy's also had some solid updates recently. You know that annoying Tejo ability that messes with her lockdown? Yeah, that's been fixed. So, for those of you who ditched her during the Tejo meta, it's time to bring her back. Her setup is easy to understand, but so hard to counter if you know how to use it. She's that agent you can always rely on, whether you're on the front lines or playing back to support your team. In the end, these A-tier Sentinels are all about control, whether it's Cypher's sneaky tricks, Deadlock's powerful lockdowns, or Killjoy's reliable gadgets, they've all got something special to offer. But no matter which one you choose, just remember, the key is adaptability. You need to be ready to react to whatever the enemy throws at you, and these agents give you the tools to do just that. So whether you're holding down a site or trying to keep those pesky attackers at bay, these Sentinels are your go-to choices. They might not be the flashiest, but they sure know how to get the job done. The Sentinels in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Vise. Alright, let's talk about the Sentinel in Valorant right now, Vise. Seriously, if you haven't considered picking her up yet, what are you doing? She's not just a solid pick. Vise is the top dog in the current meta. In fact, during the recent VCT Masters Bangkok, she was the most picked Sentinel across the board. So yeah, she's kind of a big deal. What makes Vise so lethal, you ask? Well, first off, her defensive abilities are on a whole other level. You want to stall a push? Vise has got you covered with her wall that immediately isolates enemies. Throw in a flash right after, and boom, easy pick. But wait, there's more. Vise's Razorvine Molly is basically a no-go zone for anyone unlucky enough to step in it. The damage it deals is ridiculous. No one is going to stick around in that fire unless they're suicidal. And let's not forget, it lasts a full 10 seconds. That's a solid chunk of time to buy your team some breathing room and mess with the enemy's plans. But Vise isn't just a stall expert. She's got the versatility to make her a headache for attackers too. Her ability to watch flanks puts her right up there with Cypher and Killjoy, keeping you covered from all angles. She also has a flash ability that works a lot like Sky's, which means she can step in as a pseudo-initiator. So you can both stop a push and assist with initiating one, all while playing smart, strategic defense. This makes her a lot more flexible than the usual defensive agent. And hey, if you're looking for even more synergy, Vise works fantastically with other agents like Tejo and Deadlock. Imagine the chaos when all three of you are pulling off devastating plays. You can effectively shut down enemies, throw them off their game, and still be a beast on the defense. Vise truly is an all-in-one powerhouse, and if you're looking to dominate the competitive scene, she's definitely the Sentinel you should be keeping your eyes on. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.